Hello everyone, please press subscribe, press follow, press the bell so you don't miss any new clips. Astral Pet Store. Author by Ancient She. Audio novels by Novelist. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 101 Elite Pet Warrior League. Just as planned, the second group of customers were ready when he returned with the third group of pets. After sensing 4 individuals, 3 men and a woman standing outside, Su Ping unlocked the door and told them to come in. He expected the customers to question the reliability of his training, which indeed happened. He wasn't going to waste his breath explaining though. Letting them see their pets for themselves would be enough. After being released from Su Ping's temporary contract, the pets dashed into their owner's arms like bunnies set free. Even one that wasn't so friendly before was nudging its master as if its life depended on it. One of the customers, a young man wearing riches from head to toe, gave Su Ping an angry look. "What did you exactly do to my pet? You have some explaining to do, sir." This man was at the 9th place on the Academy's power ranking list. Seeing him questioning Su Ping, the other 3 followed suit by staring at him. Without speaking, Su Ping remotely ordered the young man's pet to use the newly learned skill, Earthly Prism. This pet was a supportive, plant-type phantom seeker with a 7th rank potential, and was usually good at using illusions and healing. While it was still enjoying the reunion with its master, Su Ping's will invaded its mind and rekindled its worst nightmare, causing it to unleash Earthly Prison right away. It didn't know why it listened to a stranger's order, and it didn't care. The floor and walls of the shop started quaking, before a large number of thick vines came shooting out of random spots and filled up the room like spider webs, trapping everyone in a narrow space. The customers watched the amazing and dangerous display with great surprise. The vines could easily squeeze them to death if they grew any further. Lu Pengfei, as the master of the deer, knew better than anyone what his pet was capable of. Earthly Prison was a very useful and large-scale crowd control skill, while his deer was mainly a healer pet. There was no way it could use Earthly Prison unless... "Mr. Su, did you teach my pet that skill? Why would it be otherwise?" Lu Pengfei trembled in excitement upon hearing that answer. Within a day, his pet deer had mastered a middle-rank skill used for effectively trapping enemies. "This guy is a master trainer, if not the best one I've ever heard of." They all realized that the rumors about this shop were true. As long as they paid, their pets could become as strong as Su Yanying's lightning rat. The woman with a pointy jaw asked next, "I can see his deer has grown. But what about our pets?" Su Ping ordered 2 of the remaining 3 pets to show off their new skills, who obeyed him immediately. Those skills were all common middle-rank ones, though the result was more than good since the pets had only gone through 1 training session. Su Ping looked at the last customer whose pet had yet to do anything. "Your ice gecko learned the tidal wave skill, so I can't show inside the store. Try it somewhere else and come back if you have any questions." The ice gecko was of the lower 3rd rank. Tidal wave did not help it reach the same level as Su Yanying's lightning rat, but it was quite enough as an improvement. No one doubted Su Ping's words. There was no reason to. "Can you keep training my pet, sir?" asked Lu Pengfei, as he gave Su Ping a yearning look. "Only once per day. You can come again tomorrow." Sure. Lu Pengfei scratched his head when he remembered his oppressive stance towards Su Ping moments before. "Please forgive my previous attitude. I really shouldn't have done that. HMPH. Lu Pengfei was visibly stressed out because he thought Su Ping had not forgiven him. "Oh fuck. I should have stayed quiet back there and let another one ask the question. Me and my big ego." The truth was, Su Ping didn't mind Lu Pengfei's rudeness at all. It was just that, saying, HMPH, with his nose was quicker and easier than saying, "It's okay. Hey, sir, please accept this 50,000 coins. Consider it my apology," Lu Pengfei said as he handed some more cash to Su Ping. It was the only solution he could think of. Su Ping took the money without much of a thought. Extra money was always welcome. The other 3 people copied Lu Pengfei's move since they didn't want to fall behind and lose their chances of hiring Su Ping's services again. Mr. Su, take this as a token of gratitude. Me too. And this. An extra 30,000 deposited. Su Ping, on the other hand, did wish that the customers used the money to buy his service instead, since getting paid this way didn't help him get more energy points. These students' finances seemed to be tight. He didn't want to see them go broke too soon. Just this once. If you want to spend more money, do it for your pets. Of course, sir. The customers had just realized that what they paid Su Ping in extra meant nothing to a master trainer who could easily earn millions from big clients. Su Ping was already doing them a big favor by offering a cheap service. Mr. Su, can I buy that special training for my pet? Asked Lu Pengfei. Like the same one you gave the lightning rat. How much is it? 1 million. Su Ping silently asked the system whether he could accept the order. He could offer the celestial pig a special training because of a new mission issued by the system. Specialized training is only available to a level 3 pet shop. Please reach that level first. Su Ping wasn't too disappointed by the answer. Without a free ticket to high-level cultivation planes and free deaths, it was already difficult to raise the celestial pig's level to be a match for the lightning rat. He probably was unable to handle another special training order anyway. Not now, he rejected. Oh, can you do it later then? That's a yes. Lu Pengfei almost jumped in delight. He happened to need some time to gather 1 million and decide which pet to focus on. 4 people stepped out of Su Ping's shop while thanking him non-stop. Su Ping called the next group of customers and decided to sit down and wait for them this time. He had spent 72 hours inside cultivation planes. Even speaking was a taxing thing to do right then. Once again, he had to stop the customers from badgering him with questions by ordering their pets to display their skills. A while after, the terrified pets nudged their masters with fervor, hoping that they'd never be sent to that dreadful place again. Su Ping saw 2 more customers enter the store. He was slumped on his counter and was feeling too lazy to move, though he still sat up when he recognized who was coming. It was the vice principal, Dongming Song, and Luo Guxu. Those 2 seemed to have come together. Luo Guxu was there to help with his business, after he saved her life the other day. As for the vice principal, the old man probably had some kind of business to discuss. This is your shop, huh? Luo Guxu looked around. She wasn't expecting such a small place. She believed Su Ping was more than capable of renting a bigger place. Maybe he never intended to be serious about his job, she thought. She had been wondering if the ferocious lightning rat and little skeleton had both emerged from this shop. But on second thought, the place would have been packed with waiting customers if that were the case. However, it looked almost abandoned. Dongming Song was thinking along the same lines but without showing it. He only checked the shelves briefly before speaking to Su Ping with a kind smile. What a cushy little place you have, Mr. Su. It has everything you need for a master trainer without being too showy. I mean, look at this chair and how it is placed along the wall. Such masterful taste. Su Ping felt too embarrassed to listen to such drivel, so he quickly stopped Dongming Song from keeping that up. Is there anything you need? Luo Guxu spoke. Mr. Vice Principal invited me to come, saying that we might have the honor of meeting a master trainer. She looked excited when speaking, which was reasonable, because a master trainer was generally more respected than titled battle pet warriors in this world. Perhaps, said Su Ping. Su Ping had once heard about how master trainers from the Federation worked. He knew he could reach that level, if not better. There was no point denying his skills. Both Luo Guxu and Dongming Song looked thrilled upon hearing his words. Can we ask this master to train our pets? As an advanced battle pet warrior herself, Luo Guxu knew she should admire or even fear a master trainer. She would act as carefully as possible. Behind her, Dongming Song showed a surprised look but quickly hid it. After their meeting at the academy, Dongming Song summoned all available hands to investigate Su Ping and learn everything they could find, down to the last detail. They had learned which hospital he had been born in, which nurse handled him and even the color of her underwear, just to make sure they left nothing to chance. However, Dongming Song knew something was off after reading the files he collected. Unlike his original assumption, Su Ping was not from a rich and famous clan. On the contrary, Su Ping came from an average family and was not born with astral abilities. No one knew when Su Ping's astral power was awakened, because he only showed it until recently. Apart from admiring Su Ping's great talent, Dongming Song also grew a little fearful of what Su Ping could achieve at this rate. A common genius was nothing to be afraid of because they still needed time and proper study to fully display their capabilities. But Su Ping was different. He hid his potential from everyone during his entire teenage years. Only the gods knew how many more amazing things he had in stock. Since Su Ping was not born rich, Dongming Song was inclined to consider another theory, a fateful encounter. Su Ping might have received the gift of a master trainer who somehow decided to bestow everything upon him, probably because of a powerful enemy's pursuit and not having much longer to live. At least this was how TV dramas usually played out. Su Ping's response just told Dongming Song that there was indeed a hidden master somewhere in the vicinity. He was more than eager to meet such a master right then. Training your pets is not a problem, said Su Ping. However, the shop has a full schedule today. I'm afraid you have to come tomorrow. Full schedule. Luo Guxu quickly realized that a master trainer should have rules after all. All right, that's what I'll do. Dongming Song also stepped up. Mr. Su, the main reason I'm here is that I want you to teach a lesson at the academy at your earliest convenience. By this, he meant to tell Su Ping that his visit was unrelated to the shop's affairs. Su Ping trusted him, though he still had questions about the reminder. Our agreement said 1 lesson per week, right? Do I have to hurry? Dongming Song easily saw that Su Ping was complaining. I didn't mean to go against the agreement, Mr. Su. It's just that, the Elite Pet Warrior League is starting soon, and the students will have their winter vacation in half a month. We have several talented students such as Su Yanying and Yi Hao, who can try their luck in the league and get a good score. The remaining 2 weeks represent the last chance we have to assist them. Apart from you, the other 4 advanced teachers will present 2 lessons each week. Of course, we'll compensate you for the extra work. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 102 League and Hassle. Elite Pet Warrior League. Su Ping had been too focused on his shop to learn about such a thing. He did hear about this league before. It was the joint effort of all 286 space cities around the globe, who would send representatives below the age of 28 in the 7th rank to participate. In other words, older people and advanced battle pet warriors of the 7th rank or above could not compete. Most of the participants were students and graduates from famous schools, or settlers who had spent a few years exploring barren areas. Those eligible to join the league had to make it through the preliminaries held in their cities. Each city would send 5 qualifiers to the Continental Elimination Games who would keep going until 5 winners for each continent remained. Lastly, the 5 champions of each continent would enter the finals where the world champion would be determined. The league was held once every 3 years. More than half of the planet's population would lock themselves and stay glued to their TVs. All TV stations and media would make sure they live-streamed the league's events 24/7. Meanwhile, other channels and movie broadcasters would halt their activities because they wouldn't be getting many viewers during that period. To most people, showing their faces at the city preliminaries was already an honor, knowing that it was usually elites and children from rich families who would occupy better positions on the ranking list. As for people who made it past the continental matches, they would be famous for the rest of their lives. Being the world champion meant being the number one who triumphed over billions of people. Throughout history, these world champions would either die because of the oppressive responsibility, or become legendary battle pet warriors who protected their lands as true heroes. You mean you want to help Yi Hao and Su Yanying reach the championship? Su Ping wondered. That's not quite possible. No offense. Dongming Song was startled by those words. The championship? No, I'm not crazy. I just want them to learn and improve, that's all. They might get lucky enough to be placed within the citywide top 1,000 and earn experience for the next league 3 years later. As the vice principal, Dongming Song knew for a fact that Yi Hao and Xuanhuan were not the only exceptional geniuses the academy had to offer. The other schools out there might surprise them if they weren't careful. Besides, the spotlight would very likely be taken by 6th-rank battle pet warriors who had gained a lot of combat experience during barren area expeditions. Regular students couldn't compete with them. Su Ping nodded to agree. For Xuanhuan and Yi Hao, the league 6 years later should be their main stage. Getting experience was more important than winning in the short term. He looked at Dongming Song again and silently admired the old man's far-reaching vision. Just a moment before, he thought Dongming Song was only a smart businessman who valued profit more than the students' well-being. His guess was off the mark. I see. What kind of compensation do I get for teaching them? Dongming Song shook his head with a smile. 1,000 professor credits. Credits. Su Ping learned of such a thing when he signed the agreement. Just like merit points, he could use the credits to exchange for skill books and resources from the academy's storage. 1,000 is not much, is it? He asked, unsatisfied. Dongming Song's lips twitched. It would only be for 2 extra lessons at most. 1,000 is not bad. Luo Guxu helped by saying, the vice principal is right. We advanced teachers are usually paid this much as a monthly salary. It's a good overtime pay. Okay, I guess. Su Ping nodded. Dongming Song wanted to take his leave, but stopped when he suddenly noticed Su Ping's young look. Wait, this boy can also join the matches. According to Miss Luo, he single-handedly dealt with an 8th-rank magical corpse beast. That's way better than Yi Hao and Xuanhuan. He almost overlooked such a perfect candidate under his nose, given that Su Ping kept frustrating him with that careless attitude. After some thought, Dongming Song couldn't remember another student at such an age who could do better than Su Ping in a fight. Luo Guxu saw Dongming Song's odd look. She checked Su Ping, and also realized what was going on. Hey, get it together, you two. Su Ping started to feel uncomfortable with their long gazes. I know I look awesome, but you don't have to stare like that. Dongming Song recovered first. The preliminaries are just a few days away. Aren't you going to prepare, Mr. Su? If that were the case, the academy would not urge Su Ping to teach. It would be the opposite. Prepare for what? I'm not entering the league, said Su Ping. You're not. Dongming Song failed to stay calm this time. Why would you let such a great chance go to waste? You have the skill to enter the city's top 5. Or top 3, if things go well. Dongming Song had watched many matches in his career and knew the extent of the battles. He believed Su Ping could easily become a qualifier, if not the champion of their base city. Nah, I'm not interested. Su Ping shook his head. He was neither lying nor being too humble. The truth was, he didn't care about the league at all. Becoming the world champion only meant that he could study under a legendary battle pet warrior in the end, which was not so appealing. The Chaos Star chart he received from the system was enough as a training technique. Besides, he had seen his fair share of deadly opponents in all kinds of ancient planes. Legendary battle pet warriors would just become helpless prey if they went there. Being legendary was no biggie. He might as well take his time to train several powerful pets and get more energy points, before using the points to get a Beast King if he could. By then, he would automatically become another legendary battle pet warrior. Dongming Song went agape when Su Ping rejected the offer so quickly. But, say, are you an advanced battle pet warrior of the 7th rank already? If that's the case, you can only go for the Supremacy League that follows after. The Supremacy League was more brutal since anyone below the legendary battle pet warrior rank could participate. Anyone who could win in the preliminaries was at least a 9th rank battle pet warrior. Su Ping shook his head. I'm not advanced yet. Being an 8th ranker, Dongming Song could easily scan Su Ping's astral power, though he didn't do it because it would be offensive. Besides, he didn't believe Su Ping could have reached the advanced stage as a teenager, even though he had proven to be terrifyingly brilliant. Why not join the Elite League then? Dongming Song insisted, you don't want to put your skills to use. It's simple, really. I'm too lazy to go through all that hassle. That's all. Are all geniuses odd characters like him? Dongming Song almost face-palmed. Ah, well, just a piece of friendly advice. You don't find these opportunities often in life. Please, think about it. Su Ping didn't want to waste his time, so he changed the subject. Want to buy some pet food while you're here? Dongming Song choked after hearing that. Is this boy selling pet food when there's more important business to do? Hey, wait a second. He checked several price tags. The lowest was a few hundred coins for a small cup. Pet food. These are as expensive as low-rank pets. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 103. Customer with a pet of the undead family. This is not a clip joint, is it? This was Dongming Song's first reaction. On the other hand, he believed Su Ping didn't need to run a sketchy business at all to make money, considering his strength and the identity of that guy behind him. Dongming Song adopted a more serious attitude as he thought of that person. He ran his gaze over the shelves a few times. All of a sudden, he noticed that some exotic flowers and rare herbs contained pure and condensed element energy. There were various elements such as flames, ice, and lightning. Another element that he noticed was the aura of death. What's in this bottle? Dongming Song cast his eyes on a particular bottle. It was as transparent as glass. Inside there was a piece of green fruit with peculiar grains formed naturally on the surface. Su Ping took a look and replied, "It's wind fruit. When consumed, the fruit can help pets increase their speed. There's a slim chance that the pets can pick up a skill of the wind family." Dongming Song was surprised. They can pick up a skill of the wind family. Luo Guxu, who was standing next to Dongming Song, was also shocked by the price of the pet food. She opened her eyes wide in astonishment as she heard Su Ping's words. A piece of fruit can help a pet learn a skill of the wind family. It's just a slim chance. Su Ping went on calmly, if the pet can eat this regularly, the result is more than certain. There's even a chance that the bloodline of the wind family can be assimilated. This way, pets of other families could also have wind-type abilities. Unfortunately, this is the only one I have left. Hurry up if you want to buy it. Dongming Song was intrigued. He had a pet of the wind family, his favorite. The price of this wind fruit was 78,000 coins. The price was high, so high that usually people would shrink back at the sight of it. On the other hand, it was worth a shot if the effect was as miraculous as Su Ping claimed. Okay, I'll take it. It just so happens that I have a storm sea hawk. This fruit might be of use. Dongming Song stopped hesitating. He could afford to spend this much money easily. He would consider it a favor to Su Ping's store if the fruit's effect wasn't as good as advertised. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. He didn't like the word, might. At the same time, he understood that his little store was not famous yet. It was only natural that he would be questioned. That being said, he had absolute confidence in the quality of the products he sold. Here you go. Su Ping handed the fruit to Dongming Song and took over the money. Dongming Song grabbed the fruit. He didn't feed it to his pet right away since his storm sea hawk was large, too large to fit inside the small store. Besides, it would seem as if he were testing its effectiveness. On the off chance that the effect wasn't obvious, Su Ping would be embarrassed. Dongming Song put away the fruit and glanced over the other items on the shelf, but he did not make another purchase. After all, those items were all pricey. He preferred to check the effect of the wind fruit first, whether it was a good bargain or a small loss. Either way, he could always come back again. Mr. Su, I will take those 3. As a person who had been saved by Su Ping, she couldn't fall behind, so she placed an order of her own once the vice president was done. She looked at the shelf and picked 3 odd plants that contained the fire element. She placed the order directly without even asking about the effects. Su Ping saw the 3 plants she wanted. They were all expensive and the total amounted to over 180,000. Su Ping had a basic idea of what she was thinking given her straightforward action, but he didn't point it out. The items he sold had a good value for the money invested. It was a good deal all in all. The only problem was the lack of promotion. Very few people knew about the store. That was why the fruit had been piling up. But anyone who had bought the food there knew the benefits. It was going to be difficult for Luo Guxu to repay his kind offer in this way. Here you go. Su Ping took the items off from the shelf and gave them to Luo Guxu. Do you have a bag? Luo Guxu was somewhat inconvenienced since there were a lot of things. Su Ping replied, nope. Luo Guxu was stunned speechless. She had spent 180,000 coins on a single purchase and yet she couldn't get a bag. Dongming Song did not know how to react, either. He felt Su Ping didn't know how to do business at all. Who would offer services like this? Eventually, Dongming Song helped Luo Guxu hold a large plant. This way, both held a plant in each hand. Dongming Song was ready to leave. He said to Su Ping, think about the competition. Besides, I suggest you go to school tomorrow to register or the day after tomorrow at the latest. It's up to you. When you do, come to me first. I'll arrange the classes for you. Sure, Su Ping promised. Dongming Song could tell that his reply was about going to school, just by looking at the expression on Su Ping's face. Dongming Song shook his head, heaved a sigh, and left. Luo Guxu politely and respectfully bade farewell to Su Ping, also taking her leave. When the two of them were outside the store, they looked at each other, embarrassed. Wasn't it silly for them to hold those things in their hands and walk on the street, given their identities? I'll call a cab. Dongming Song forced a smile. Luo Guxu proposed, let me. Soon, they called a cab and went directly back to school. After they left, Su Ping resumed his training at the counter. The 4 basic augmentation skills had been cultivated to the 2nd rank, and were about to reach the 3rd rank. This could be credited to when he was sending pets to die in those cultivation planes. While the pets were being trained, he could also cultivate his astral power and develop his skills. Another 2,500 energy points acquired. Adding the ones I made before, I have 7,500 energy points in total. Su Ping believed he could reach the 10,000 goal the next day. By then, upgrading the store to the 2nd level would be the top priority. That way, he would be able to make money faster. If his daily income could be at least half of what he had made that day, the store could be upgraded quickly and he could become stronger. Some time later, Dongming Song and Luo Guxu arrived at the school. They said their goodbyes and went separate ways. Dongming Song walked along the path toward an old, aged battle venue at the back of the campus. This was the former plaza. It was abandoned after the new plaza had been built. He and some teachers would go there to exercise. Students preferred other places. Dongming Song took a look around. The battle venue was covered in dust since nobody had gone there to clean it. He felt its former vibe was still lingering. This filled him with emotions. He raised his hand and a vortex to the contract space appeared. A hawk that was over a dozen meters long flew out. It was the Storm Sea Hawk, a pet at the lower position of the 9th rank. This Storm Sea Hawk had reached adulthood long before. It sufficed to say that it was in its declining years. The feathers at the end of its wings were a bit worn out. The Storm Sea Hawk had been through many sufferings and had been fighting alongside Dongming Song for a dozen years. For Dongming Song, the Storm Sea Hawk was like his child. Come here. Dongming Song looked at the Storm Sea Hawk gently. He opened the bottle, took out the wind fruit, and threw it to his pet. He could certainly perceive the wind element contained in the wind fruit, regardless of its actual effects. It would be of use, more or less. The small fruit fell into the Storm Sea Hawk's beak. It swallowed the fruit completely. It was clearly not enough. A long time had passed since the pet had gone out to walk around. It lowered its neck and rubbed its beak against Dongming Song. He laughed and patted its huge beak gently as if patting a child. Only while being in front of his pets could he let down all of his guards and pressure to enjoy this relaxing moment. Pets would never betray him. All of a sudden, the Storm Sea Hawk flapped its wings, yowling and stirring up the dust on the ground. Dongming Song stood there stunned for a second. Right after, he saw the Storm Sea Hawk spread its wings and quickly take to the skies. In an instant, he saw the storm seahawk dash into the clouds. Although it was as large as a basketball court, all he could see was a black dot in the sky which soon vanished. Dongming Song was confused. He could feel the emotions of the storm seahawk. It was full of joy, having become excited all of a sudden. Whoosh! Soon, the storm seahawk dived down and reappeared in front of Dongming Song. But the dive was powerful, like a falling meteorite, rushing straight toward the ground. That is fast. Dongming Song was taken aback. He told the storm seahawk to come to a stop at once. Otherwise it would lose control and smash into the ground. The storm seahawk flapped its wings and stopped the rush at once. Making a U-turn, it climbed once more and only came back down slowly after hovering in the sky for 7 or 8 times. Dongming Song was astonished by what he had witnessed. He knew his old pal well. The storm seahawk had never been this fast before. It was about 10 or 20% faster than its prime year's top speed. Even 10 to 20% improvements were important. When advanced pets battled, the slightest advantage could change the outcome. Dongming Song remembered the wind fruit he gave the storm seahawk moments before. Su Ping had mentioned that the pet's speed would be increased after consuming it. At first, this didn't catch Dongming Song's attention. He just cared about the small chance of his pet learning another skill, just as Su Ping had claimed. Dongming Song didn't expect that the speed increase could be this dramatic. This wasn't merely a speed increase. Essentially, it had been a breakthrough in rank. How could a fruit worth 78,000 coins produce such miracles? Dongming Song was aware that the majority of miraculous elixirs were harvested in the unknown worlds found beyond space fractures. Those elixirs with potent effects were all sold at a whopping price. Usually, people couldn't buy them even if they had the money. They would have to pull some strings to find a way to buy those plants. As for the wind fruit, judging by its effects, Dongming Song believed it could be qualified as an elixir. This exaggerated effect of improving abilities was already precious on its own, not to mention the possibility of comprehending pet skills. No wonder only one piece was left. Dongming Song took a look at the empty bottle in his hand. His heart was aching. He must have taken too long and others had beaten him to the draw. This must belong to the top-level master trainer hiding behind Su Ping. Why is that master selling those precious items at such a cheap price? Dongming Song went through many possibilities in his head, and yet he could not arrive at a conclusive explanation. He wanted to turn back at once to buy out the rest of the items in Su Ping's store. Given the wind fruit's powerful effects, the other items had to be of similar quality. On second thought, he realized that if he went back right away, it would practically be the proof that he had been eager to test whether the fruit worked or not. Would Su Ping think that he didn't trust him? This thought troubled him. On the other hand, if he didn't go and make another purchase, he would essentially suffer a loss if others bought the rest of the items before he did. Well, I can send someone else there. Dongming Song's eyes glowed. He gloated over what a genius he was and took out his phone at once to make some calls. At the store, Su Ping was pondering about the lectures while he cultivated next to the counter. The best way to do it was to give lectures after the store's upgrade to the second level. By then, he would be able to teach and his doppelganger would train the pets in his place. Someone entered the store while Su Ping was deep in thought. I'm surprised to see that a pet store can be found in this remote location, a young man said to himself curiously as he stepped in. Hearing the sound, Su Ping knew that a customer had arrived. Halting his train of thought, he said, "Hi, how can I help you?" The young man noticed how young Su Ping was. The former was surprised, but this didn't bother him. It was commonplace to see a worker this young. "Do you have food for pets of the undead family?" Something like resentment bead or spirit skeleton, the young man asked, with a seemingly casual tone. The Elite League competition was about to begin. He had just returned from an uncultivated area specifically to sign up. He was in a hurry and forgot to pack food. Halfway there, his pet was already starving. As soon as he entered the city, he went to look for pet stores everywhere. However, in this lower town area, pet stores that catered for pets of the undead family were drastically few. The search had exhausted him. Oh, Su Ping's eyes glowed. Finally, someone with pets of the undead family. Su Ping replied at once, yes, I do. But I don't have resentment beads or spirit skeletons. I only have a blood soul bead and devil bones. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 104 Fantasy Beast. A blood soul bead and devil bones. The young man was taken aback. Those two types of food were better than resentment beads and spirit skeletons, and extremely rare in fact. It would be hard to locate those two kinds of food even at the famous stores in the upper town area. Did this small store really have them? Are you sure? He looked Su Ping up and down with suspicion. When the young man moved his looks to the shelf behind Su Ping, his expression changed into one of shock. Of course. Su Ping turned around. He dug out the two items from a corner. The young man stood there speechlessly in astonishment as he stared at the two bottles Su Ping took out. One of the bottles contained a blood-red bead which resembled an eyeball. In the other bottle, there were some bone pieces with some hair-like strands entangled at the edges. Those were the blood soul bead and the devil bones. What? The young man was at a loss for words. He couldn't believe that this small store honestly had them. Only advanced undead beings could forge the blood soul bead and the devil bones in their bodies. Those two items were precious. To obtain them, at least two advanced beasts of the undead family would have to be slaughtered. Do you want 'em? Su Ping asked since the young man was still in a daze. The young man came back to his senses. He noticed the price of the other items on the shelf, so, he asked, how much? Su Ping answered, the blood soul bead is 160,000 coins and the devil bones go for 180,000 coins. This came as another surprise to the young man. He didn't think the price was too high. As a matter of fact, they were below the average market price. He was raising a pet of the undead family and was quite familiar with the food of this sort. On the market, usually, the blood soul bead would be sold at 200,000 at the very least. The price was 40,000 coins lower here. Could it be that they were products of lower quality? He thought about it and made a request, is it possible for you to open the bottle and let me take a look? Su Ping frowned. The bottle was specially made by the system and it could conceal the energy, which made it easier for long-term storage. When the bottle was opened, the energy would leak and the food would lose a bit of its properties. That being said, he could tell that this customer was not in want of money and was sincere in making this purchase. After some thought, Su Ping agreed. Sure, but be quick. With that said, as the young man was ready, Su Ping opened the lid. As soon as the lid was removed, a strong smell of blood wafted out. At the same time, the temperature in the shop plunged and there seemed to be a whisper of mystery. Su Ping closed the lid quickly. The young man was stunned. That was a fleeting moment. However, he recognized right away that this blood soul bead was not of a low quality. Rather, it was the best of the best. This wasn't something that could be created inside an undead being of the 7th rank. It was highly likely that this blood soul bead came from an undead being of the 9th rank. It would be acceptable to sell such a high-quality item at 300,000 or 400,000. Sir, is this really just 160,000? The young man couldn't help but ask. Given the look on this young man's face, Su Ping could tell this man knew what he was talking about. Yet, the price could not be changed. Fortunately, he didn't have to go through an ordeal to collect the blood soul beads. They were scattered around on the ground like garbage in the chaotic realm of the undead. He could find them anywhere. If it weren't for the fact that his storage space was not big enough, he would have collected more. Also, he did not expect that such a common item over there could be sold at such a high price. Su Ping said, "You can pay me more money if you think the price is too cheap." The young man laughed in embarrassment. Su Ping must be selling it at a cheap price on purpose. This was a good deal for him. Who could have thought that the items sold at this remote place in the lower town area were better and cheaper than in the upper town area? Was this because of the simple and unadorned nature of country folk? Though the base city was surrounded by high walls and there was no distinction between urban and rural areas, the population inside the high walls were divided into different groups. Most of the upper town districts in the central area of the base city were wealthy. Over time, the lower town area at the edge of the city became a rural area where the poor would gather. It was also a synonym for poverty. It was the same in any base city. "I will take 'em all. Thank you." The young man was quite polite to this person that he thought was unsophisticated. He could afford the food even if the price was several times higher considering his status. However, his money didn't come by chance or anything else. He made his money by risking his life while exploring the uncultivated areas. Saving money was always better. "Okay." Su Ping nodded as a reply. The two items gave Su Ping an income of 340,000 coins, i.e., 3,400 energy points. Accounting the 7,500 energy points he already had, he now possessed more than 10,000 energy points. He finally was able to upgrade the store to the second level. He had thought that he would wait until the next day. Unexpectedly, he could reach the target right then. "Are you the owner here, or the salesman?" The young man asked Su Ping for fear that he would be scolded if the salesman had given the wrong price. "Owner." "Good." The young man was relieved. At the same time, he was surprised that this person could run this store at such a young age. Didn't he have to go to school? All of a sudden, another question came to mind. Those two items could not be easily found. How did Su Ping get his goods when he was so young? Su Ping had a general idea of what the young man was thinking about given the constant changes in the looks of his eyes. Yet, Su Ping was not in the mood to care about that. He asked, "Do you need anything else? For example, training or boarding service? You must understand that the services here are good." The young man came back to his senses and he agreed to what Su Ping said at last. Out of curiosity, the young man put forward his question, "Do you offer training services here? Who is going to perform the training? You?" Su Ping nodded, "Yes." The young man didn't realize that Su Ping was also a trainer. Immediately, he stored away his casual attitude and asked, "What trainer level are you at? Can you train advanced pets?" "Advanced?" Su Ping shook his head. Nope. He believed he could train advanced pets. However, he had not yet trained a pet of the middle level with above-average aptitude. The system had not unlocked the training service for advanced pets yet. Maybe, according to the system, to train a pet and have it attain an above-average aptitude was the most basic thing to do. It was just to have an above-average aptitude, which was measured against all the pets of the same family throughout history, was tremendously difficult. The young man seemed to understand better. After all, Su Ping was young. It would be strange, actually, if Su Ping could train pets of the advanced ranks. How about middle-rank pets? The young man went on. Sure. Su Ping nodded. Oh. The young man was amazed that middle-rank pets could be trained there. That would imply that Su Ping was a trainer of the 4th rank at the very least. At the same rank, the trainers were usually more powerful than battle pet warriors. A 4th rank trainer could be equal to a 6th rank battle pet warrior. That was to say, that boy was no worse than himself. Do you want to have a pet trained? Su Ping was seeking confirmation. The young man gave Su Ping a careful look. He believed that Su Ping would not lie to him given how nonchalant he acted when he sold him that blood soul bead and the devil bones at such a low price. After some thought, the young man answered, "Sure. I just happen to have this fantasy beast that has just reached adulthood. It is of the demon family. Can you train it?" Su Ping nodded. Fantasy beasts were pets with a 6th rank bloodline. If this pet had just reached adulthood, it would be at about the 4th rank. Fantasy beasts were pets of the demon family, used mostly for assisting. They were weak in combat abilities but they were skilled in creating illusions. For pets with weaker spirit abilities, fantasy beasts were a nightmare. Even advanced pets could fall into their traps if not careful. Okay. The young man summoned his fantasy beast. He had to adjust his state and prepare for the Elite League. The fantasy beast would not be of much help to him. At the elite league, it wasn't likely that someone would use pets with obvious weaknesses. Most of the pets there were well-rounded. His fantasy beast would realize its potential only if it evolved into an incubus beast. The fantasy beast was small and delicate, with its body floating in the air like the puff of a purple cloud. It had two googly eyes like two swirls, which gave the fantasy beast an adorable look and at the same time, made people dizzy. The fantasy beast looked around curiously. "When will the training end?" the young man asked. He thought he could come back for his pet after the elite league. He planned to have Su Ping take care of his pet in the meantime. "Tomorrow," Su Ping gave his answer. "Tomorrow." The young man was shocked. Which kind of pet could be trained in one day? Was that even qualified as training? Su Ping threw a look at this adorable fantasy beast. He believed the fantasy beast would be very soft. He turned to the young man and said, "This is a middle-level pet. The training fee is 100,000 per session. Pay up." Again, the young man was stunned. 100,000 per session. Even advanced trainers would charge less. Besides, not only was the price high, the training would last for merely one day. Wasn't Su Ping able to make 100,000 in one day? Previously, the young man had thought that Su Ping was unsophisticated. After that, he believed it was a big misunderstanding. Or maybe, this man was selling the food at a low price on purpose to lure him into this trap. He heard that the poorer people were, the craftier they would be. The young man was in deep thought. After some consideration, he decided that he could accept it considering the pet food was cheap. He could just convince himself that he was giving Su Ping the 100,000 coins for nothing. This wouldn't be a loss to him. After all, he had gotten a good deal with the pet food. "Sure, I will come and pick it up tomorrow if I am free. But if I don't come, please look after it for a few days for me. I will pay for that service," the young man said. Su Ping nodded, but he did caution the customer, "I advise you come back as early as possible. The boarding fee here is 2,400 per days or 100 per hours." The young man opened his eyes wide. One day and it would cost him 2,400. Just taking care of the pet for one day would need 2,400 coins. This would be too expensive for him even if he could make 1,000,000 during each exploration trip. This was the price that was seen at the big stores that could be counted as the best in the base city. He might have been able to accept the price if this store were in a prime location, where even the rent of a doghouse would be unreasonably high, and a designated person would be there to look after the pet without stepping away for 1 second. But here, what could be the benefits behind the price, considering this shabby place? Su Ping was there alone. Even if he could look after the pet, with no equipment in this poor store, how could he take care of the pets? Pushing down the urge to turn around and leave, the young man took a deep breath and said, "I will come back as soon as possible." So be it. He would consider the 2,400 coins as compensation to Su Ping. Good. The deal had been closed. Su Ping told the young man to write down his contact info. The young man hesitated and wrote down his contact information. Given his identity, generally, his contact information wouldn't be easily disclosed to outsiders. Moreover, such small shops usually had no credibility nor a guarantee to speak of. Gu Baikan. Su Ping glanced at his name and nodded. "Remember to come tomorrow." "Sure." Gu Baikan said no more and left with his blood-soul-beaten devil bones. Those 2 items were enough to feed his pet for a month. When those items were consumed, maybe, the pet's rank could be elevated. That would be a major gain for the trip to this store. Astral Pet Store. Chapter 105 The Furthest Distance. After Gu Baikan left, Su Ping took the confused fantasy beast to the nursing pen in the pet room. 3 groups of pets had been sent away that day. Many nursing pens were unoccupied. When the fantasy beast entered the nursing pen, its tension was calmed down as it was immersed in the comfort brought by the anima. Su Ping looked at the fantasy beast and smiled. Turning back to the store, Su Ping pulled the shutter door down, and then, he immediately murmured the words for upgrading the store in his mind. 25 nursing pens established. Spirit pool for incubation is at level 3. Requirements to upgrade the store to the second level have been met. Initiating upgrade. As the system recited those words, almost all of the 10,000 or so energy points that Su Ping had worked hard to accumulate were gone. Time for the upgrade is 1 hour. During this time, the store will be closed for business, the system added. Having nothing else to do, Su Ping stayed in the store to cultivate. An hour went by and with a ding, the system announced that the upgrade was complete. At the same time, information about the 2 new functions that came with the upgrade appeared in Su Ping's mind. Su Ping's eyes glowed. He pulled up the window of cultivation planes. Next to the Enter button under the list of cultivation planes, there was another button that read, Training with the Dummy, and its related icon was a small purple man. According to the system, when Su Ping selected a suitable cultivation plane, he could choose to cultivate with the dummy. A clone would be created to enter the cultivation plane to train the pets. However, this function was not free of charge. The fee was 1/10 of the admission price of the corresponding cultivation plane. This was the same price as buying times of deaths in the cultivation planes. Su Ping felt this was a trap. That being said, he had become used to how the system would skin a flea for its hide. He closed the cultivation plane's window, entered the pet room, and murmured the words for the training space. A whirlpool like a miniature black hole suddenly appeared, and inside it was the training space, similar to the summoning space. The size of the training space was linked to the store level. Currently, only 50 pets could be stored inside it. With this training space, the nursing pens Su Ping had in the store could be freed. But, since he didn't have many pets set for the boarding service, and he had some unoccupied nursing pens, he decided to let the pets stay there for now and send them later to the training space after the nursing pens became full. He finished checking the function of the training space and the training with his dummy. Then, he pulled up the system's shop. Currently, his store was at the second level and the system's shop had also been upgraded to the same level. When it was a first-level shop, only awakening potions and elementary beast-catching rings were on sale. That awakening potion was an exception that the system had prepared for him, the host. The awakening potion was never on sale for a second time and he couldn't see it again, no matter how many times he refreshed the shop. On the other hand, the elementary beast-catching ring was a good thing. It could catch all pets below the 7th rank with absolute certainty. As for advanced pets, there was a slim chance that they could be captured with an elementary beast-catching ring. Such an artifact had a miraculous nature. Usually, when people were hoping to catch pets, they had to have a corresponding strength to defeat the pet. But with the beast-catching ring, this was not needed. Even an average person could catch a 6th rank beast with this beast-catching ring. Of course, if an average person were to enter an uncultivated land, he would probably be killed by the beasts within an instant, without even having the chance to use the beast-catching ring. That being said, the highlight of the beast-catching ring itself was that it didn't have to rely on its owner's strength. It was unrealistic to have average people go and catch beasts, to begin with. But if a 3rd or 4th rank battle pet warrior could use it, as long as they could find a target with accuracy, they could catch a 6th rank beast for sure with this. Besides, the beast catching ring could still be useful for 6th rank battle pet warriors. Generally speaking, the 6th rank battle pet warriors weren't necessarily able to defeat a 6th rank pet if it was too powerful. Su Ping had high expectations for the shop after its upgrade to the 2nd level. As soon as he opened the shop, he saw 5 items on display. At the 1st level, the shop only presented 3 items, 2 more items were added, to raise the options to 5 items. The shop would be refreshed after 24 hours. There might be new items or the same as before. Of course, if he was willing to pay 100 energy points per time, he could refresh the shop at once. Well, the system was tricking him into spending money. Su Ping would not spend energy points to refresh it no matter how badly he wanted to. 100 energy points came from 10,000 coins. He just had to wait for a day. He could afford that. Spending money, not a chance. He glanced through the 5 items. The first thing that leaped into his eyes was the beast-catching ring. Only this time, it was a middle-level one, instead of the usual elementary rings. Middle-level beast-catching ring. Catches beasts of the 7th rank with 100% certainty. Catches beasts of the 8th rank with 80% certainty. Catches beasts of the 9th rank with 50% certainty. Catches beast kings with 1.25% certainty. Su Ping's eyes were glowing. This was awesome. The effect was powerful. He threw a look at the price quickly. The number relieved him. Good. It was 1,000 energy points, just 10 times the price of elementary beast-catching rings. It would have been a scam if the price increased by 100 times. The 1,000 energy points were equal to 100,000 coins. However, any average 7th rank beast would be sold at over 500,000. The 8th rank beasts would have a price of 2 to 3 million at the very least, not to mention 9th rank beasts. Even the bad ones at the 9th rank could be sold at tens of millions. Of course, those prices were for adult beasts. Infant beasts would be much cheaper because they had to be raised and trained. On the other hand, for some extremely rare pets, such as those of the dragon family, or genie pets of the demon family, the infant ones would be more expensive. It was because such pets were born with natural gifts. If those pets could be trained carefully by a master trainer, they could become 9th rank pets of the highest grade and even beast kings. They would be much stronger than pets that had to grow up in the wild by themselves. This middle-level beast-catching ring is such a good deal. If I use it to catch a 9th rank beast, there's a 50% chance of success. Say I am unlucky and I can only catch one after using 3 rings, that could still generate a huge profit. This middle-level beast-catching ring is also effective to catch beast kings. But the chances of success are so slim that I can just look over it. Su Ping was practically drooling. However, he didn't even have 1,000 energy points. He could not afford it at the moment. He then looked at the other 4 items. There was no awakening potion, which he expected, not even after the upgrade. But there were original force pellets. Middle-level ones. Previously, when Su Ping finished a quest, he was given 3 original force pellets and each enabled him to rise 1 rank in his astral power cultivation. Now, middle-level original force pellets were on sale. If they were as potent as the elementary ones, could they help a middle-level battle pet warrior rise a whole rank directly? But the original force pellets were being sold at 10,000 energy points. They were quite pricey. That was 1 million astral coins. Considering the effects of the original force pellets, the price was high but it was worthwhile. The rich students of large financial groups would fight each other to buy this pellet if they were to know. For those that had over 1 billion coins, they could earn 1 million, or even more, by doing nothing all day. Su Ping had to admit that, while the system was a penny pincher, the items it offered were amazing. That being said, he thought this probably had something to do with the system's wealth of knowledge. Maybe something he deemed precious was garbage to the system. It was too bad that Su Ping didn't have enough energy points while such amazing merchandise was on sale. The more than 20,000 energy points he made that day had been spent on the store's upgrade and the spirit pool for incubation. If he wanted to buy those items, he had to wait until he made more energy points. Energy points. Su Ping sighed with regret. A chance that could help him move up 1 rank was right in front of him and yet lacked the energy points to buy it. This was such a misery. After 24 hours, the shop would be refreshed. For once, a perfect chance had been presented to him but he had to give it away because he was just poor. If he had another chance to see those items, Su Ping yearned to say to them with tears in his eyes, "I have the money to get you." Apart from the original force pellet, among the other 3 items, there was a middle-level pet food and 2 peculiar things. One was the feather of a cloud dream bird and the other a scale fragment of the deep-sea thunder fish. The effects were unclear. Su Ping assumed they had to be materials of special effects to certain pets. Price-wise, they weren't cheaper than the original force pellet. Su Ping closed the system's shop, crestfallen. It was just like having a girl he loved waiting for him and yet he just couldn't perform. The most painful thing in the world was to face this, near but far, distance. Low-spirited, Su Ping opened the shutter door to wait for more business, but it was already getting late. No other customer showed up and it was close to 9 in the evening. He thought all the students that were attracted by the flyers had paid a visit already. End of the chapter. Astral Pets Store will be read in 5 chapters for every Monday, Wednesday, Friday and Sunday. Please leave this sound novel and press subscribe, follow, and the bell so you don't miss any new clips as well. See you.